Hello, Deja. Here is my interview. I'm sorry for getting it out so late to you. It has been one crazy week, as I'm sure it has been for you. I literally had to escape out into my garage to film this interview for you. So, yep, let's get started, and I hope you enjoy it. Question number one, what is your philosophy of teaching, and what grade would you like to teach and why? So, I actually have already received an offer to teach first grade this fall, so I'm very excited. My teaching philosophy, I would say that it's based on making a safe and a welcoming space for my students to be able to grow in academically and develop their own personality. I think it's really important for the children to be able to think critically, but also to be able to be creative and to overall just love learning. It would make me very happy to be able to see that progress in my students. So as I did mention, I will be teaching first grade, and it will be in a dual language classroom. So I'm extremely excited. I see first grade as a really big year in the lives of the children because they are learning the basics of both of their first and their second languages. And also just the age in general, it's very important to develop a good view in the differences of everybody's lives and how to accept everyone and to realize that not everybody is the same. Question number two, describe one lesson from the beginning to the end. What would happen during this lesson? So using again my scenario of a first grade dual language classroom, a lesson might be on a language or on a reading goal. For example, how to understand and use descriptive words. So the lesson, I would begin with a warm-up where the students can say hello to each other in both languages. And then I would follow the warm-up with a quick repeat of the lesson from the day before. So I can do that by using a fun song or using a chant with the descriptive words. In the beginning, of course, I will address the goal of the lesson and mention what the objective of this lesson would be. For example, learning how to use different English and Spanish words to describe things. I would then read a picture book with lots of descriptive language in both languages. I would do that like around the middle of the lesson. And then I would point out any descriptive words and any sentences. Then the students would do like a guided practice where they can work with a partner to describe the difference in pictures or in objects. And then after this, the students could work on their language skills either on their own, maybe like drawing or writing a few sentences about their favorite item in both English and Spanish. And then at the end of the lesson, I can have some students share with the entire class what they wrote or drew. And then overall, to wrap the lesson, I can make a review of what was learned and a sneak peek, of course, of the lesson that would be coming. Oops, I almost skipped one. Question number three, how do you cultivate a positive environment and relationship with your students? And what is an example of this? So to create a positive environment and a relationship with my students, to start off, I think that respect, empathy, and a sense of community is extremely important to me because I want the school to be a good place for the children and my students to be. So I set clear goals and I encourage at all times open conversations, especially at the beginning of the year. One way that I can do that is by creating a classroom promise. I can add on a list many good habits that the students will promise to follow. And then, for example, I can have the students come up and sign their name and make that promise that they will follow that they will create this classroom promise. Another idea is to have a student of the week program. This will let every child share something about themselves and they will be praised by the classmates. this will also have the students have a sense of importance, and it'll share their background and their hobbies with their classmates, which overall will just help build a strong community in my classroom. Next question. Explain how you proactively approach classroom management so that minor misbehaviors rarely become chronic or severe. So this is actually a really good question that I was actually asked during my interview. I can recognize this question. So for my interview, I went through about like 3 interviews. I went through about 3 interviews, and I recognized this one during my interview. So overall, I think that the best way to run a classroom is to 100% set the clear goals and create a consistent routine from the beginning. It's extremely important also to use positive feedback. Something as small as noticing and rewarding the good behavior. This could also mean having a behavior chart or having some other kind of reward system. For example, in my school building, where our mascot is a husky, so we give out something called paws because it's the husky paw, and then you use this to reward the positive behavior, and at the end of the semester you have a paw store, so the students are able to redeem those paws and cash them in for prizes and pencils and erasers and stickers and all these fun stuff for them. So that's a great thing to use. I also really do think that to avoid any misbehaviors, keeping the students interested will reduce the chance overall of the bad behavior. So just making the lessons fun and involved for the students. Having an open conversation and regularly checking in will also help the students to make sure that they're feeling heard and understood, and it will lower their anger and behavior problems. And if there are any small problems, I 100% will deal with them right away and fairly, because I can use that as a teaching opportunity, and I can go over the classroom rules and just give them a refresher at the end of the day. Next question. Out of breath. Describe your ideal classroom setup. How would you describe the visual learning supports, areas of the classroom, and student learning spaces? So my dream classroom setup would be something that is friendly, useful, and just good for learning. The room can be set up with many different activities, such as having a reading spot and it be filled with comfy chairs and a large library. And then maybe another area to be somewhere where a group can go work, where there's tables for them to be able to collaborate with one another. Another thing is to have the other area with desks for each person if they would rather work alone and they don't want to work in a group, to help the students understand and improve their language skills. I really think that visual learning aids, especially in a dual language setting, such as bilingual signs, a bilingual word wall, having anchor charts put up in a visible place, that would be extremely beneficial for those dual language students. I also think it's extremely important to have an area or a wall maybe set aside, so that way the students can show their work on that area or that wall. It'll really help the students and make them own their work, and they will be extremely proud of it. I also do like to bring technology into the classroom, so I think maybe having another area where it could be like the technology corner. This way the students can access their own technology devices if they feel the need to. They're out open and they can access them. Next question. How do you include parents and guardians in the child's education? this is another one that I recognized from my interview. So I was extremely surprised to see it in this assignment. Parents and guardians, I strongly believe that it is critical to involve them in their child's education. And this could be something as small as keeping in touch with them, whether it's through newsletters, emails, parent-teacher conferences. I think all of those are important and critical components. On top of that, I do plan to ask parents to take part in activities in the classroom or activities in the school and come out and volunteer. And of course, volunteering never has to be in person. It's something as small as if you want to help me as a classroom teacher and take home some homework books of math and rip them out and make a packet. Like I had something like that during my student teaching experience, and it was extremely eye-opening because for the parents, as a volunteer time, you would always think like, oh, I can't do it, I have work, I can't go out to the school. But it was something as volunteering at their own home where they're watching their own children, and it was extremely eye-opening to see. So I definitely think that that's extremely important. Having cultural celebrations in the classroom and having the parents involved, having reading days or career talks where the parents can come out. Just because having parents who are active participants in their child's education, where they're being kept up to date and they see their child's success and they are helping set the learning goals, overall it will just create a better setting for the child, and it will be extremely critical in a dual language setting where participation is extremely important for the language development. So I think all of that is great ideas to include the parents and the guardians in the child's education. Next question. Oops. As an educator, how do you create a classroom culture that welcomes, respects, and supports students from different racial and ethnicities, gender identities, and socioeconomic backgrounds? What would this look like in the classroom? So to make my classroom a place where all students feel welcome, respected, and supported, I use culturally responsive teaching methods and tools that show my students' backgrounds and different identities, because in my classroom all identities are celebrated, which I can do this by using different images and other materials that will support that. Every student will be seen, every student will feel valued, and when there's different cultural customs and holidays that are celebrated, bringing this into the classroom will be extremely beneficial for this. Having an open classroom with rules and having the students help make the rules will help the students make them feel like if they belong. I also give the opportunity to the students for them to talk. Okay. 1, 2, 3 more questions. As an educator, how do you create a classroom culture that welcomes, respects, and supports students from different races? I think I already read this one. Yeah, I did this one. How do you use assessment data to help students be engaged in learning? How would you differentiate instruction and support the students identified with specific learning and language needs? So differentiated teaching will make sure that all of the students, no matter where they come from, what different help they need, will get the help that they need to do well in school and overall in their life. So using test results to make sure that my lessons are tailored to each student's need. By looking at the results of the different tests, I can see where my kids are doing well and where they need more help. With this knowledge, I can tailor my lessons to fit each child's needs, giving them targeted help to those who are having trouble and extracurricular activities to those who need to get ahead of schedule. using formative exams will also help keep track of my students' progress, and I will be able to change how I teach as needed to keep all of them interested and to make the progress. The last question, how do you maintain your professional development and what areas would you select for personal growth? To keep my skills up to date, I plan, of course, to go to workshops, conferences, training sessions, all of these that are linked to the latest education trends and practices. In my building, I am also part of a teacher collaborative team, which I think is the holy grail as a first year teacher. I'm extremely excited. In this TCT group, it's actually a group of coworkers who we all get together and we share ideas and we share our plans with each other. So I'm very excited. And of course, to continue my professional growth, while I plan to take more courses to stay up to date, I plan to continue my master's degree. And for my own growth, well, I would work on things like learning more advanced methods, especially of 2 languages, incorporating technology into the classroom, and getting better at teaching in a way that is sensitive to the different cultures. With all of this, I can give my students the best education possible because I will always be learning and thinking about what I'm doing. So thank you for watching my interview. I'm sorry if it was a little too long. I hope you enjoyed it. And congratulations on reaching the end of your bachelor's degree. Or you might be doing your master's degree.